everybody, hello everybody, hello everybody, hello everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like Therian and furry content, as well as arts and crafts, you are in the right place. Make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot, and let's get into the video. So first of all, I am going to be talking about a bunch of Therian and furry misconceptions. Now, I see all over the internet so many people, even people within the Therian and furry communities, that just do not have their facts straight. They just don't understand that some of these things... Anyway, I have a list. Of, I think 9. I don't actually know, but I think 9 Therian and or furry misconceptions that I'm going to be going over and debunking in this video. So, let's get into it. So first, as is the title of this video, the litter box problem. Now, for some reason, every single person outside of the Therian and furry communities just thinks that this is real. There's so many people that actually think that there are people in schools that are like, we have to put litter boxes to, you know, be kind to the Therians if we want, you know what I mean? Because the gender bathroom issue, which we all know is stupid, is that they want those bathrooms gendered. They want them gendered in the schools, and they don't want the non-binary bathrooms. They don't want the gender-neutral bathrooms. They don't want the bathrooms that anyone can go into. They're like, no, we have to respect the bathrooms, you know what I mean? So they think that, because people were joking about it, people were like, oh, this Therian in my school wanted a litter box put in, and then Fox News got a hold of it, and people are just thinking that kids are going in litter boxes. But that is not the case. Now, I don't know why it's not obvious to the majority of people who commented, but nobody is going in litter boxes. First of all, Therians and furries don't actually believe we need to use litter boxes. It's not really part of the experience. But also, it's just not real, guys. Nobody is requesting litter boxes be put in any public places, schools or otherwise. Nobody uses them even at home, really, and if they do, that's a personal thing. Guys, no one's using litter boxes. It's just not real. Now, this next misconception is probably the biggest misconception of the Therian and furry communities, which is predominantly placed in the furry community, and that is that it is not safe for work, or NSFW, all the time. Now, there are definitely adult spaces in both of these communities, and there's nothing really wrong with that, as long as it doesn't cross, you know, some boundaries into pushing it onto other people, especially minors. If you are an adult in either of these communities and you partake in adult activities in either of these communities, as long as you keep it in adults-only spaces and private and away from anyone who could accidentally stumble across it and be harmed by it, then you're completely fine. But if you are an adult who posts adult content in places where kids and minors can easily access it, such as a public Instagram account that also uses regular furry and Therian tags, don't do that. That's really awful. Guys, don't do that. Now, this does go the other direction too. If you are a minor, which is to say under the age of 18 years old, and you are interacting with NSFW content, adult content that is clearly not for someone under the age of 18, I'd really advise you to not go in those spaces anymore. Because not only is it incredibly dangerous and inappropriate for you to be in those spaces, but having a minor in spaces where there are adults posting adult content is also dangerous for all the adults posting that adult content. So it goes both ways. If you are an adult who interacts with adult spaces and posts adult content, do not interact with minors, and if you are a minor, do not interact with the adult spaces. Just, guys. But in both the furry and Therian communities, there are adult spaces, but the majority of the content and environment and part of the community is not adults only. But it is very common that people outside of the furry and Therian communities place these negative kind of like, these are all like sexual deviants, and like they're all like creepy, awful people, and they all are really into crazy sexual things. That's not the case at all. Now, of course, there are adult portions, but the majority of these communities is safe for work, and it is open for any ages. As long as you stay out of those adult spaces, if you don't want to be there, then chances are your experience with the Therian and furry communities will be completely safe for work and completely free of awful NSFW stuff. You know what I mean? If you keep your space clear and avoid those places, then you probably won't stumble across it. And on that topic is zoos. A lot of people think that everyone in the Therian and furry communities is a zoo. Now, oh my god, don't even get me started about how awful zoos are, which is not to say the establishment where you can go and see animals. This is talking about the type of person who is interested in a type of thing with animals, if you get my drift. Now, these are awful, disgusting, horrible people, and they are not a part of either of these communities. Zoos are not welcome in the Therian community, and zoos are not welcome in the furry community, and they are definitely not welcome on any of my pages. Seriously. It's a disgusting thing that so many people place that label on all of us in these communities when there's really a small portion of actual criminals. Because those people are criminals, they are not just Therians and furries, they are criminals. They're not, like, let's be so real, they're not, like, good people. And therefore they should not be associated with these communities that have nothing to do with that. But moving past that topic, there is actually a difference between Therians and furries, and a lot of people don't know that. So people will just lump Therians and furries in the same category, or just say that Therians are furries, or vice versa, but there actually is a difference between being a furry and being a Therian. A furry is someone who just is a fan of anthropomorphic animals. It can be in any form, whether they like fursuits, cartoons of animals, really anything that has to do with an anthropomorphic animal. And another important thing about the label furry is that you choose it yourself. If you do not identify as a furry, then you're not a furry. Which is to say that even if you own a fursuit, that doesn't necessarily make you a furry, because a furry is a label that you place onto yourself. Since the label furry literally just means that you're a fan of anthropomorphic animals, placing that label on yourself can also apply to, like, the community at a greater aspect, you know what I mean? Like, considering that, like, I'm a furry means that you're part of the furry fandom, so some people choose not to use that label as to not be associated with the furry fandom because it can be toxic. Now, on the other hand, a Therian is someone who non-physically identifies as an animal, which is to say their internal sense of self when they look inward at who they are on the inside. Instead of seeing what most people see, which is to say their physical body, they see an animal instead. So what represents them on the inside instead of their physical body is an animal. So basically, furries do not necessarily identify as the animal, they're more just fans of animals and anthropomorphic animals. And Therians identify as an animal, and it is an internal identity that you don't choose. Now, these next few misconceptions are mostly towards the Therian community, but the first one is that only Therians can wear Therian masks. Now, the label of Therian mask does not necessarily mean that it is a mask for only Therians, it means that it is a mask that is in the style of a Therian style mask, you know? But masks and gear are for everybody. Anyone can wear a mask, anyone can make a mask, you don't have to be a Therian, and Therians just do it to express themselves and kind of have fun. So you don't need a mask to be a Therian, and you don't need to be a Therian to have a mask. And again, like I mentioned earlier, if you have a fursuit, that doesn't necessarily make you a furry, but if you have a fursuit, you probably are a furry. Now this one I bring up because it's commented so frequently on my What is a Therian videos, because I guess it's a way to kind of like, oh, like I'm tricking you, like look at me, I'm like, I've got you, and it is but humans already are animals, so what do you mean you identify as an animal? You already are an animal. Guys. Like, I don't know, I mean, I think it's funny because the people who comment this usually think they're like, I gotcha, you know, I cornered you, you already are an animal, what are you gonna say? And it's like, you're missing the entire point, like by a long shot. Like, very clearly in your everyday life, you can tell the difference between what a human acts like and what a bird or a dog or a... Like, you can see the difference between a human consciousness and an animal's consciousness. Like, be so for real. Like, very clearly we're talking about this difference, and there's very clearly a difference between humans and other animals. Like, guys. Like, you're not smart for commenting this, and so many people will comment this, especially over on TikTok on my, like, really, like, well-viewed, What is a Therian videos. I'll get a comment like this every few weeks, like, still on that old video, and it's like, but humans already are animals. And I'm like, well, you got me, I guess. I don't know. It's just a funny comment. Now, this one is really common, and this is a very common misconception in the Therian community, and that is that Therians all have past lives. So some Therians do. Some Therians believe they were an animal in their past life, and that's their experience. But a lot of Therians, and I would say most Therians, don't believe that. See, there's a thing called spiritual Therians, and there's a thing called psychological Therians, And basically, more on the spiritual Therian end is things such as past lives, or their soul as an animal, things like that. And psychological Therians is more so their identity developed over time, or through childhood or trauma, and basically they became a Therian because of natural circumstances. So there's actually a bunch of different ways to be a Therian, and most Therians don't actually believe they were an animal in a previous life. But just to be clear, some do, and that is a big portion of the community, but most Therians, at least the ones I post online, don't really believe that. And the last misconception I have is that quads are for Therians, only for Therians, and that Therians have to do quads to be a Therian. If you don't know what quads are, it's short for Quadrobics, and it is the exercise of running on all fours or moving more so like an animal. And it's very popular in the Therian community. I mean, if you look up Therian on the internet, chances are you'll get 1,000,001 videos of people doing quads. But believe it or not, Therianthropy has literally nothing to do with quads. It's just an activity that was really popular in the Therian community. It's just fun. It's a good way to express being a Therian. But there we have it, a bunch of different misconceptions about the Therian and furry community debunked. If you liked this video and want to see more like it, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a bunch, and I can make more videos for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you got some good information out of this video, and I will see you next time.